So now I'm going to teach you my 7-step process for learning your rising diagonal. Step 1 is to stay now when the outside foreleg hits the ground. So I'm going to be doing a circle to the left, and every time his outside foreleg hits the ground, I'm going to say now. Step 2 is to then say now every time the outside foreleg hits the ground and trot. Step 3 is I'm going to say now every time my hips are forward in the rise of the trot. Step 4 is I'm going to say now every time my hips are at the bottom of the rise. Step 5 is I'm going to say now when the outside front foot hits the ground and trot, and then notice whether I'm at the top of the rise or at the bottom or sitting in the rise trot when the outside front foot hits the ground. Step 6 is I'm going to practice sitting for 2 beats to change my diagonals, and then the last step is similar to step 5. Say now when the outside front foot hits the ground. Notice whether I'm at the top of the rise or the bottom of the rise, and if I'm at the bottom of the rise I stay the same, and if I'm at the top of the rise I know that I need to sit for 2 beats and change my diagonal. So I'm going to show you each step individually. Step 1, say now when the outside front foot hits the ground. Now, 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 now. Step 2, say now when the outside front foot hits the ground and trot. Now, 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 now. Step 3 is I'm going to say now when my hips are at the top of the rise. Now, 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 now. Step 4 is I'm going to say now when my bottom hits the saddle on the down part of the rise. Now, 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 now. So step 5 is I'm going to say now when the outside front foot hits the ground and trot, and then I'm going to notice whether I'm at the top of the rise or the bottom of the rise. Now, 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 now. So what do you think? Was I at the top or the bottom? I was in fact at the top of the rise. So earlier in session 1, I think it was, we talked about the trot being 2 beats. So each beat that we sit down, we're either going to be sitting as the inside front foot hits the ground or as the outside front foot hits the ground. So when we want to change diagonals, meaning we want to change from sitting when the inside front foot hits the ground to when the outside front foot hits the ground, we need to in fact sit for an extra beat. So it goes down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. What that does is that swaps us from the left to the right or vice versa. So I'm going to do a couple of changing the diagonals so you can see what it looks like when I sit for 2 beats. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, 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 down, up. Hopefully that will help practice this. It does take some time to get used to, and sometimes we do sit for 3 beats instead of 2. So it's an ideal if you have someone standing close to you or near you that can watch and make sure that you are indeed sitting for only 2 beats and changing from one front leg to the other front leg. Step 5 is I'm going to say now when the outside front foot hits the ground, and then I'm going to decide, am I at the top of the rise or am I sitting in my saddle? Now. So I'm at the top of the rise. That means I need to change my diagonals, because to be on the correct diagonal, I in fact need to be at the bottom of the rise. So I'm going to change, I'm going to sit for 2 beats, down, down, up. Now. Notice now when I say now at the outside front foot hitting the ground, it's the same time that my bottom is in the saddle. Now. So just practice that and you'll find you'll have your diagonals done in no time. So if you're wondering why it's so important that we're on the correct diagonal, it has a lot to do with the shape of the horse's body. So remember at the start where I showed you with the elastic that ideally we want the horse's body right from the pole all the way through the horse's body to the tail, bent around the shape of the circle that we're riding. And when the horse is carrying their rib cage relaxed and a little to the outside, which is what we're wanting, then it will feel comfortable to be on the correct diagonal. Whereas when a horse is pushing their rib cage or their shoulders to the inside, it actually feels comfortable to be on the incorrect diagonal. So by changing ourselves to the correct diagonal, which sometimes feels a little uncomfortable, it actually creates a situation where the horse needs to then bring his rib cage and bring his spine a little bit, or his rib cage back over to the outside, to make it more comfortable for both you and him to stay on the correct diagonal. And by bringing his rib cage a little to the outside, the turns become a whole lot smoother and much better balanced. So what you're doing by ensuring you're on the correct diagonal is also ensuring that your horse's body is in a much better position to ride his corners well.